I just love to read books. I like to read children's books. I like to read literature that's for every age level. And one of my favorite authors is also her own illustrator. Many times when you read a book, you have an author who writes the words and the story, and then you have a separate person who's the illustrator who does all of the artwork. Well, Jan Brett does both. And she does it so perfectly. I'm always amazed every time I open up one of her books. This is one of my favorites, although I love the way she did the hat and the mitten, and I have pretty much every one of her books. As a matter of fact, I went to see her. She was at a bookstore that wasn't too far away from where I live, and she actually signed this book for me. It says to Diane Mary because along with being Grama Tippy-Toes, my first name and middle name are Diane Mary. And she even put one of her little illustrations on here, which I thought was just amazing for her to do. That was in 2009. And I love reading this story. This story, Twas the Night Before Christmas, is by Clement Moore. And so Jan Brett took this story and created illustrations that take place outside, not just inside the house. She also used a town that I have visited many times, Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And someday, when you're traveling around, someday, a few years from now, I hope that you get to Stockbridge. There's even a picture of where Norman Rockwell, another famous illustrator, had a home and a studio. So as I'm going through these pages, take a look at the illustrations. It's amazing. If you really, really like the book, this particular version of it by Jan Brett, you ought to go on to Amazon or go to your local bookstore and purchase one of the books. It's really a wonderful keepsake. Now, I took the cover off of this book because I have two of them. She even did beautiful artwork right on the book. It looks as if this is a fabric of some sort. I just think that she's amazing. For this book, she introduced into the story two elves that travel with Santa. And I think you'll be able to see them as we read. So settle down, get comfortable, and let's read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas by Clement Moore, illustrated by Jan Brett. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around down the chimney, St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his sack. His eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his fingers aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight. Why don't you say this part with me? Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. What a wonderful book. And if you happen to get this book for yourself, you will not believe all of the details and all of the special things that Jan Brett did just for you when she illustrated The Night Before Christmas.